Which KPI, which key performance indicator should I use in different aspects of my supply chain? That has got to be the most common question I get here on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on my blogs. So that's the thing we're going to address this week. I want to show you how to pick the right KPIs. So it is without doubt the most common question I get: which KPI should I use? Key performance indicators are the hottest topic on our blogs. And so rather than tell you which KPI you should actually use for a specific function, what I'd like to do this week is to explain to you some of the principles behind KPIs so that you know how to pick the KPI for your particular function or operation. I get some really obscure questions, like what's the right KPI for this activity in procurement and this one in transport? And I generally give, similar sorts of answers to the one I'm going to share today. So hopefully this will help you work out your own KPIs. Now, you'll be very familiar with some of the standard KPIs like DIFOT, delivered in full on time, all those sort of things. They're great KPIs. But most people miss out on the, if you like, the supporting KPIs, the ones that are underneath those that really help you understand where things can be improved. So let's have a look at delivery in full on time for a moment. What does that actually mean? Our complete order, every order line has been delivered to the customer, in full, all the lines on time. And people will measure that and they'll get 93 and 94 and they'll try to improve it. But without further KPIs supplementing or supporting that KPI of DIFOT, it's very hard to know which areas to improve. So my common answer when people ask me about KPIs is think about what you're trying to achieve. What's the objective? And in this case, we want our orders delivered in full on time to the customer. Okay, now have a think about the different activities that support you doing that. What are some of the enabling activities? What are some of the things that if you get wrong, you won't be delivering it in full on time? And those are the KPIs that you should be measuring to understand how you can improve DIFOT. So let's think of that for a moment. DIFOT, delivery in full on time. What are some of the other KPIs that we could measure? It could be the on-time element. Did the truck arrive on time? Particularly if they're delivering into very tight time windows. With a lot of large retail chains, for example, delivering into their distribution centres or their stores, you've got to arrive within a 30 or 60-minute time window. And if you're outside of that, you've missed delivering on time. So you could measure that to see if that component is letting you down. What about dispatch on time? So if we haven't got the orders ready in the warehouse in full, on time to be picked up by the transport company or your fleet of trucks, then we're going to fail, aren't we? So we should be measuring that dispatch function. Have we got all the orders ready to be picked up in full on time? What about picking accuracy? So again, think we're trying to deliver this order in full. What are some of the activities that if we get wrong will make us fail on that objective? Picking accuracy is definitely one of them. So do we have really good picking methodologies? Have we got checking to make sure that we've got the right items in the cartons, the right cartons on the right pallets and so on? Now I'm going to mention probably the one that has the biggest impact on DIFOT, and that is stock availability. Think about that for a minute. If you're going into the warehouse, the distribution center to pick orders and the product isn't there, that DIFOT KPI, you've missed it straight away, haven't you? Because the product's not available, we're going to have back orders. So stock availability is probably one of the most essential KPIs to measure if you're trying to improve DIFOT. So does that make sense? We're measuring DIFOT, which is great, but we've got to measure all of the components that feed into DIFOT so that we can understand which ones we're doing well, which ones we're not doing so well at, and we can focus in on and improve those. So start with the objective. Let's work through one more. Maybe you're running your own transport fleet and you want to reduce the cost per unit delivered. Doesn't matter what kind of transport it is. I mean, it could be bulk, it could be parcels. So maybe we're looking at the cost per ton delivered, the cost per carton, the cost per pallet, and we want to try and reduce that. Again, think about the things, the different activities, the different functions that come before that transport operation or that feed into that transport operation that will have an impact on whether that cost is going to go up or down. So let's think, what would have an impact on that? Space utilization. If we've got a 12 pallet truck, for example, and it's commonly going out with 8 or 9 pallets on it, we're not utilizing the space of that truck very well, and we're getting a higher cost per pallet delivered than we could. We should be trying to send it out full all the time, or maybe we've got the wrong size trucks. So that could be an indicator that you've got the wrong size fleet. Operations do change over time, and sometimes you have to adjust the fleet size and mix, and you'll find videos about that on this channel. What about time utilization? I've seen very large, well not very large, but fairly large transport fleets of 80 to 100 vehicles where they're only actually used 6 or 8 hours of the day. So, like fresh food deliveries and things like that. And then they're sitting there. Do you have a transport fleet that you could be using 24 hours a day, or if not 24 hours a day, 2 shifts per day? Because that's going to utilize that fleet much more effectively, and you're amortizing the sort of fixed cost of that fleet over many more hours. So your cost per hour, your cost per ton delivered is going to drop down. What about things like the time per drop? How long am I spending on each delivery? So for example, remember we're trying to reduce the cost per unit delivered, be that ton, pallet, carton or whatever. If our operations are such that the drivers are taking a long time to actually perform that delivery, they're waiting around, it could be the fault of the customer, maybe they're waiting to get onto the unloading dock, maybe they're not quite as efficient as they could be, that's something that I would measure. How long is it taking for each drop? And then how long is it taking per ton, per carton, that kind of thing. So all of those supporting KPIs will help you lift the lid on your top level KPI to see what's going on. So there we go. It's not that complicated. What's the right KPI to use? The one that will help you identify opportunities to improve the outcome you're looking for. That's a little bit long-winded, but whatever it is you're trying to achieve, I want to achieve better service. Okay, what are the things that are going to contribute to us getting better service? Measure those. I want to get a lower cost for a particular operation. Okay, what are the things that go into that if I make them more efficient will lower the cost? Measure them. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So KPIs are really important, and having the right ones is essential, because if you're measuring the wrong ones, you're missing opportunities, you're not creating the right behaviors. You pick the right ones, it's really going to help you improve your operations. If you've got any questions about KPIs, do ask down below. There's other videos on the channel about KPIs. I'll put some links to that down below as well. But I hope that's helped. It's a very common question about KPIs. So thanks for watching, and see you again next week. Oh, and if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. If you hit that bell, you'll get notified every time we have a new video coming out as well. Why do I ask people to subscribe? It shows me which video topics are more popular, to be honest. And it shows me how people are enjoying the channel. It's my KPI, I guess. So thanks for watching. See you next week.